Hello, Paul Gitsham here. Welcome to the lockdown launch for A Price to Pay, the latest DCI Warren Jones novel. I should have been in Bristol at CrimeFest speaking on a panel and staying up well past midnight chatting in the bar. However, I'm instead speaking to my phone and staying up well past midnight trying to book a Tesco delivery slot. But at least I am dressed for the part and I'm pleased you could join me. A Price to Pay is the 6th full-length novel in the DCI Warren Jones series and the 10th book overall. Now, for those of you not familiar with the setup, my hero, Detective Chief Inspector Warren Jones, heads up a fictional CID unit in the small North Hertfordshire market town of Middlesbrough. Middlesbrough is a bit of a crime hotspot. Over the years, there have been murders at the local university, a serial rapist, the brutal slayings of Catholic priests at the local retirement home, drug dealers killed in a turf war, and a far-right activist stabbed in a back alley. All good, wholesome fun, I am sure you will agree. Needless to say, Warren Jones is at the heart of all these investigations. So who is he? Well, Warren is a 40-something, middle-aged bloke brought up in Coventry who moved south for the sake of his career. He's a very fussy eater who loves 80s music and is sick of explaining that his accent is from Coventry, not Birmingham. I'll leave it to you to figure out who the author's inspiration was. Somewhat unusually for the genre, Warren is happily married and doesn't have a substance abuse problem. Of course, not everything in Warren's life is perfect. He experiences more than his fair share of heartbreak over the years, as does his team in Middlesbrough. The unique nature of the Middlesbrough CID, a first response CID unit at the fringes of the county, mean that it is under constant pressure to justify its existence in a time of relentless budget cuts. The team changes over the books, with members joining and leaving, but the core remains the same. His right-hand man, D.I. Tony Sutton, his sometimes venal, sometimes caring boss, Detective Superintendent John Grayson, CCTV expert D.S. Mags Richardson, and crime scene manager Andy Harrison are just a few of the regulars. So what about A Price to Pay? The book opens with a woman crashing through a darkened forest, men and dogs chasing her. A shot rings out. Who is she? Why is she being chased? What happens to her? All will be revealed. In the meantime, Warren is called to the scene of a brutal murder. It seems an easy enough solve. Broad daylight, 2 eyewitnesses, but of course things are never that same. Carry on watching for a short excerpt of A Price to Pay, released as ebook today and as paperback and audiobook on August the 6th. DCI Warren Jones, Book 6, A Price to Pay, prologue. The branches whipped at her face as she crashed through the trees, her breath caught in her throat, her lungs labouring to keep up. Behind her, dogs barked and snarled, and she heard the shouts of her pursuers. The further into the woods she plunged, the darker it turned, the thickening canopy of leaves blocking ever more light. A sudden burst of pain sent her sprawling to her knees, a fist in her mouth muffling her cries. She couldn't go on any more. She couldn't. Maybe if she turned around and went back, they'd forgive her. Maybe if she begged. A shot rang out. Going back wasn't an option. She'd just seen what they did to deserters. She'd seen what they did to women like her. She gritted her teeth, forcing herself back to her feet. She needed to continue her flight, putting as much distance as she could between her and the following men before running was no longer possible. She pushed on. The dogs were louder, and she shuddered at the memory of them. Huge, slavering things. She'd seen the way they attacked the dead rabbits thrown to them. Chained up all day, they would be beside themselves at the prospect of a real, live prey to chase down. The road was only a few hundred metres away, a busy, 2-lane highway. The hiss of traffic was audible, even at this time of night. There was no way her pursuers would risk chasing her onto it. She stumbled again, her foot sinking into a depression in the soft earth. She tried to get up. She really did, but she was exhausted. What had she been thinking? Nobody ever escaped. Those who tried were dragged back and used as an example to everyone else. Another shot cracked the night sky open. It was closer than the last, and the dogs were even louder. The extra surge of adrenaline was enough to spur her on, but her pace was now little more than a brisk walk. It was the best she could do. The sound of the road, the sound of freedom, was getting louder, but the sound of the dogs was getting louder more quickly. Another unseen obstacle, and she ended up flat on her face. What was the point? Everything that she loved in the world was now gone. She rolled onto her back. too exhausted to care about the blood trickling down her face from her broken nose. She felt her eyes close. Just a few seconds rest. This time the shot was so close she heard the leaves above her rustle. No, she wouldn't give in. Too much had already been sacrificed. If she gave up, if she died here, those sacrifices would have been in vain, and the memory of his selfless love would die with her. Clambering back to her knees, she half crawled, half walked towards the road. This time when the pain came, there was no ignoring it. No, 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 she whimpered. Not now. Just a few minutes more. Behind her she heard the baying and snapping of the dogs and the shout of their handlers. It was over. The dogs would be on her in seconds. There was no way she could keep ahead of them now. Sinking into the soil, she prayed to a God who seemed to be deaf to her pleas for as long as she could remember. Please make it quick. She fell to her side, welcoming the encroaching darkness, looking forward to the release from suffering. Suddenly, bright, dazzling beams of light cut through the trees, turning night into day wherever their dancing cones landed. Overhead, the night was shattered by a loud clattering. Now she could hear the handlers shouting, calling back their snarling charges, but she was too far gone to care. Wave after wave of pain passing through her, until eventually the darkened forest turned pitch black, and she remembered nothing more. That was the prologue from DCI Warren Jones' book 6, A Price to Pay. Published in eBook today, published in paperback and audiobook August the 6th. Thank you for listening.